Morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending what side of the earth you are on. This is going to be another video on self-empowerment, on oneness, on talks on the I am. And if this video resonates with you at any moment, please feel free to help me share. Thank you for joining. If you're just getting on here, good morning. Good morning, Adam. Adam's watching from the UK. Good morning, Adam. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Magda. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to just talk more about self-empowerment, oneness. This will be another talk on the I am. I posted a meme up last night that's getting a better response than I anticipated, so it's obviously resonating with others as it has with myself. And I just kind of wanted to do a video explaining more about the I am and more about the individual. There's a lot of talks in religion of oneness, and a lot of us don't fully grasp the concept of oneness, and it's because of individuality. But the story goes, and I'm sure everyone's familiar with it, in the beginning was the Word. And in the beginning was that Word, and that Word belonged to God. God is the all. God is what we represent as the One. And the One is everything and nothing. It is the all. So in the beginning, you begin with nothing but a point, a void. This is not even space. This is the absence of space, which we can call a void. If we're going to call it anything, any spoken word, we call it a void, because a void expresses the absence of space. What is here is not even space. And this is what is known as the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and this is what began everything. But remember, the word began is a very tricky word, because when you say began, you are implying that something started, originated from point A. And only the form exists in appearance, disappearance, birthing and death. The eternal one does not exist in the boundary between this and that. And so there is no beginning. What we can say is all there is the Word, and this Word is with God. There is no beginning. And what you have, when we birth out, we begin as pure awareness, as that point right there. As source. We begin as what we call God. We birth out as the God mind, and it is through the God mind birthing out, the One birthing out, because we are all this one. If all is one, then every single one is the God mind, is what we are calling the God mind, should be looked at as the divine one. But what we begin as is pure awareness. Every being, every individual in the form. And this is why we're birthed out from a belly button. The belly button represents the point. All creation begins from the point. Spider webs demonstrate this, and so on and so forth. The pen that we use to write with, everything begins and ends from the point. The point is what is all creation, is what begins all creation, if we want to label it a beginning. So what this does is this awareness is able to, the awareness, mind you, is attached to the focal points. This point represents the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. It is this point that we are pure awareness, that we are source. But what happens is, and this is only natural that we do so. What happens is, when we are born into a form, we are born having that pineal gland, so we have the God mind, the pineal gland within us. But when we birth into a dual brain, you now have two sides to your brain, two hemispheres, left and right. So what this does is it splits this awareness from itself. It splits the God mind, what we call all-knowing, the all-knowing self, from itself. And the moment we take on a form, we exist in a dual brain of two hemispheres, which is what I'm representing here, with the central pineal gland. Sorry about that. Turn my ringtone off. Okay. And what this does instantaneously is, remember, the awareness, the pineal gland, is what is traveling through your body and establishing concept of self. Self does not exist as awareness. It is through the awareness. Awareness is the I am. When we say, I am that I am, the only thing that can be known, when we say I am, what we are saying is I am aware. That is pure God mind, pure source. I am that I am represents I am aware. It is the voice that listens to us when we speak. That is the I am, and this is why silence is encouraged. You silence the physical mouth, you close the physical eyes, and you look within yourself. You are the I am the entire time. It is the one speaking that becomes and turns that I am into I am Tyler. We take the awareness that we are traveling as, and we begin gathering information as to what this experience is, and so we begin creating a self, and we attach this self to the pineal gland, to the point that is carrying our vessel, our focal point. So the body instantaneously becomes the self. And this is what's so tricky. The self is birthed through the awareness of I am. So all of us begin as source, what we call source. And source is nothing other than awareness. Awareness is what I am that I am represents. Because through awareness, there is nothing that can be known, nothing that can be spoken, nothing to be aware of. I simply am that I am. What you are saying is, I am aware that I am. But what consciousness does, and this is where it gets tricky, consciousness is not awareness. And this is a new discovery I've stumbled upon within myself. This is my own experience and something that I feel is true to me. Not everyone may resonate with this, but the I am is awareness. And awareness, I am aware, is the eternal watcher that watches every identity that is birthing. Because again, the only thing birthing is the concept of a self in a body. We attach this concept of self to the body because the body is transporting our focal point. So instantaneously, the body becomes the self. But once we realize the body dies, we want to transcend the self which dies. And this is how you do so. Through awareness, the I am that I am, becomes this. I am Tyler. So I went from being the pure source God mind of unlimited possibilities, I am that I am, to I am Tyler. And again, it's only natural that we do so. We birth, we look around into the room we're in, we start studying the room, we start studying ourselves, and we start trying to attach this gathered information to ourselves. And the self is the one in the body, as far as we know. So what our infinite mind becomes as I am, becomes the identity. I am Tyler. So as long as I am thinks it is Tyler, I am bound to death. I will fear death. But before we get into that, what awareness does, and I know this is backwards, but I will flip it for everyone, just so you know, when I upload it on my YouTube channel, as I always do. So bear with me on that. But what the I am does, and this is awareness, pure awareness, it analyzes and gathers information from its external world and its internal thoughts, and together it creates a self which is attached to the body. And what the I am does, because again, we birth into a dual brain, what the I am does, and this is obviously without us knowing, it births into a consciousness, which is identity, ego, and it births into a subconscious. Sorry. To everyone that's still on, thank you. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. That just messed up my entire video. I'm so sorry. That never happens. Ugh. Wow. Okay. So, this is what we're birthing as. From the belly button out into the form. If you look at the baby in a form, it unfolds from a spiral-like vortex. If you look at the Fibonacci sequence, the human being goes from the point to unfolding like the Fibonacci sequence as a vortex, and then we establish the pineal gland, which is that point here, which is connecting us to the outside world here. And it is that point, the pineal gland, which is allowing us to travel through this body. And that pineal gland, which is awareness, is what births the conscious and subconscious mind and the conscious and subconscious action. So this is what you are birthing out as right here. Instantaneously, you have a dual brain. So you go from I am that I am to traveling through the body. And so again, we take the gathered information through awareness and we attach it to the body. So when we attach it to the body, consciousness has been birthed. Because I am now becomes consciousness. I am now becomes I am Tyler. So who is it that is aware that I am aware? Tyler is aware that I am aware. But who is it that has separated Tyler from the God mind of I am? Follow the yellow brick road back home, just as Dorothy had to. What did she find? She had what she was looking for the whole time. Alice in Wonderland. She had what she was looking for the whole time. There was no white rabbit. And it's almost like this with a lot of movies where people create a dream world or end up dreaming only to awaken to realize, oh my God, I've had what I've been searching for the whole time. I am what I've been searching for the whole time. So we begin as awareness, and it is through awareness that we attach these thoughts, these thoughts of awareness. I am aware. We look around at our experience and we say, well, I am aware that the sky is blue. Well, who is it that is aware that the sky is blue? So this is where all thoughts begin being filtered through consciousness. We no longer identify with the one who is aware because we only are aware of the one that has birthed, with the one who exists in the body, with the one we see in the mirror. But what the conscious mind is all the thoughts that belong to me. What the subconscious mind is all the thoughts that belong to you, which obviously I would not attach to me. So it's not my consciousness, it's your consciousness. So in birthing the consciousness, I birth the subconscious, which is you. So instantaneously, in birthing into a dual brain, the I Am has created you and me, above and below, God and man, immortal and mortal. But who is it that is dying? This is where religion has gotten all of its knowledge from, is through spirituality, through the esoteric doctrines which have been hidden from the people. The only reason these doctrines are labeled as satanic and demonic is because people in religion are identifying as the human mind. So what the satanic doctrines threaten is the illusion of them being human. It's just like Dorothy, when the dog pulls back the curtain. Well, it's the same thing with religion. Religion tells you, do not look into the esoteric doctrines. It's the dark knowledge of God. It's evil. The reason they tell you it's evil is because it is no different than pulling back that curtain. Your charade will be over. The illusion will be seen through, and you will see you are not just human. So the only thing these things threaten is our illusion, is our concepts. And this is the greatest part. About 2 weeks ago, I had a gentleman that was trying to make the connection as to who he was. So what I did is I had him explain to me who he was. And he did get a little frustrated with me, but it's necessary. I had him explaining to me for 20 minutes who he was. And every time he would tell me who he was, I would say, yes, but who is this? But who is that? But who? Always with a question. And what he realized, finally he said to me was, I don't know the answer you're looking for. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to explain myself. I don't know the answer you're looking for. And I said, at last you have arrived at what you are. At last you have arrived at who you are. Now that you can no longer describe yourself, you no longer have to try to be. You can be. You can sit in yourself and be. So many of us are trying to describe, explain who we are, who God is, what the all-knowing is. As long as you are using spoken word, it is not what is. What I'm doing with spoken word is trying to give instruction on this path home, but I am also telling you spoken word is not the answer. Spoken word is always the limitation. If you are seeking your limitless self through your limited senses, you will never find it. So through awareness, through the God mind, if all is one, who are these truth seekers and what do they seek in the truth? The answer is who they seek in truth is themselves. They're not actually seeking for any truth. They may absolutely feel at the moment they are seeking for a truth, but beyond the spoken word truth, all you look for is that indescribable sensation of self, of being, instead of thinking, instead of trying to connect, instead of trying to describe or explain. As long as you are trying to connect to God, connect to the third eye, you have instantaneously failed. Because when you use the word connect, you have put it outside of you. Why do we plug something in to connect to it? It's separate. We are not separate. There is nothing to connect to. You are always in this moment of I am. You are always home. You are always in your heart space. But many of us slip up. We, as the inner child, we exist in the heart space of I am. The child does not I used this analogy the other day. Put a child in a new house with no furniture, no room, nothing. I'm sorry, not no room. Just no furniture, an empty house. The child will go into the empty room and project its own imagination onto those very walls. The child will have the time of his life in an empty room because the child is projecting its imagination onto these walls. What the clever adult mind will do is study these walls, analyze these walls, conceptualize these walls, study these walls, define these walls. We're so clever, we get in our own way. We have to define what this is. We have to come to some term. But while we're thinking, we are not in the heart space. The child is always in the heart space. So they don't think beyond the moment. They are in the moment, having the time of their lives in an empty room, while the adult mind is looking around and panicking and lost, feeling lost, wondering, how can I get out? What have I done to get in this room? Where am I at? The child would turn it into a playful creation, like an artist would on a canvas. And this is how we return home. And when we return home, we will laugh to ourselves because we will find we've been there the whole time. You're always home, and that is the greatest trick. You're always in the heart space, which is the I am, the awareness, the voice that is aware, that listens to you when you speak. When you speak, it is the ego, the Tyler, it is the consciousness that is speaking. But that's just the trick. If I am speaking, who's the one listening? The I am, the source, the awareness to your very being is the one that listens. That's what the God mind is. When we judge people, it is not the I am that judges people. It is the conscious mind of who we think we are that is judging people. Because the God mind is supposed to be all loving, all accepting, no judgment, it's just aware. And that's why it's just witness. We're meant to witness. And that's why silence is the key. Silence is the key within. And many people think they have to meditate to attain this moment of silence, but they do not. Again, if you go into meditation with the thought of, I need to silence the mind, you have failed. If you go into meditation with the thoughts of, I need to do something, you have failed. Meditation is not about doing. Meditation is not a practice of doing. It is a practice of being. We are a human being, yet being is the hardest part for us to do, is to be. And that's why Isaac Newton's "to be or not to be" is one of the most clever yet simplistic quotes ever. Are you going to be or not be? Are you going to exist in the heart space, which is now, or in the mind, which is in imagination land? Is the knowledge that you are obtaining really changing and helping your life, or are you getting lost in imagination land? Knowledge becomes wisdom when it begins to impact and change our lives for the better. The rest is the mind's senseless chatter, disguised as knowledge. But we as adults get so clever, too overly clever of the mind. That's why the scientist will never find God. He's too clever. He is too clever for himself. He needs an answer that is so much more complex than, look within. You are what you're looking for. That is not what the scientist wants to hear. The scientist wants to hear a complex answer, a complex set of data. They want to overcomplex the situation. And it's not just the scientist that doesn't find what they're looking for. It is the human being. that doesn't find what they're looking for, because we are not self-aware beyond self. That's the greatest question I've asked people. Would you recognize yourself if you were outside of yourself? And the answer is always no. If I viewed a foreign being that wasn't human to me, that would be called an alien. But since I am self-aware beyond myself, I would not call that alien, I would call that myself. But if I was not self-aware beyond myself, that would very much be alien to me. That would be foreign, very foreign. That would not be me. But if I were to switch roles with that alien and embody that and then look at my human self, guess which one would become the alien? All is one. We are all one awareness through different forms. The form is a shell. It does not matter. The form is what is carrying awareness. We're all different people because we are birthing different consciousness. Or different consciousnesses, if that's even a word. It's not, but it's not awareness that dies. Awareness is purity. Awareness is the eternal watcher, is the I am, is what is forever. It is consciousness. It is our consciousness which dies. And all consciousness is the identity, is ego. So when people who have done psychedelics speak of ego deaths, experiencing a breakthrough, what they have broken through is their own ego, is their own identity. And what you find is that you are no self at all beyond yourself. A self is limited. Ego needs a self. Ego needs a self because self is the individual experience. But beyond the body, there is no individual. All is one, and therefore there is no truth. If we are all one awareness, who is it that is wrong? If you are my awareness and I am yours, you exist in me and I exist in you. We are the same I am awareness, but are different consciousness. I am Tyler, where you may be Sam or Paul or Steve. Right? That is the only thing separating from me and you, other than the space in between us, my appearance, and our consciousness. If we can ignore the form, witness the appearance as different, and witness the consciousness, we can easily connect to the universal awareness that has ran through every single mind that has ever spoken a word. Any person that has ever spoken has spoken through the same awareness that we are all speaking through, because we are all one, telling its own story. This is why there is no truth. This is why there can be no truth. And this is something that quantum physics is starting to prove, is that there are multiverses. There are more than one truth. We are all existent in a world separate from each other's. And this is where it goes into Alice in Wonderland. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is because everything would be what it isn't. And contrary-wise, what is, it wouldn't be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. What the hell do you think's happening here? If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. That is what is happening. This is why Alice in Wonderland is my favorite story. It takes the insanity behind existence and it embraces it. It embraces it. It's just, it's not to be taken serious. Creation is ultimately out of love. If we are all one and no one can be right or wrong, then what is the point of even being anyone at all? The answer is for the experience. to establish the self, to know a self. If what I am as awareness is the absence of self, then to be any self at all is the gift. And remember, we're a dual brain, so the self is the conscious one. So self, everything is a polarity. So in birthing consciousness, we birth the subconscious. In birthing the self, we birth other. And this is how the universe, as this formless energy, experiences itself, through separate consciousness, through separate identities, through separate appearances, through separate positions in space, through separate truths. This is how the universe experiences itself. There is not one truth, because there is no truth. The experience alone is truth itself. And this is why when truth is spoken, it is no longer truth. You have now limited what is, because the only truth is everything outside of your freaking door, or everything outside of your mirror right now. Go look outside. Go look at the trees. Go look at the wind. Go look at how everything just is. It doesn't require thought. It doesn't require anything but to just be. And that is your mirror. It's showing you the way. This is why people leave their busy cities, leave their busy work schedules, and will go into forests, into secluded areas to meditate, to get back to themselves. Because nature is our teacher. It is our reminder. It is us that exists in our day-to-day lives, that exists in the suffering mind, exists in the scatterbrained mind. We exist so much in the mind that we neglect the heart space. We totally don't even think about it. We move so dominantly into the mind that we must think and overanalyze and describe every single thing every step of the way. And when we are doing this, we think absolutely we are in the moment. But we are not. Because you're doing, not being. And that's why I say being is the hardest part. This is why Buddha said that meditation should not be something you do once or twice a day. Meditation should become something you do throughout your entire day, all the time. Because, think about it. People are meditating, people are taking psychedelics, people are using these tools. And I'm not discouraging anyone from doing these things, but just offering a different perception here. I see meditation as a good self-reflection tool, as a good tool to step back from things when things may seem a little chaotic. Ground yourself in that heart space. This is always where I return to if this gets too chaotic. I do not run, I ground myself here. So meditation to me is good for self-reflection, good for healing, good for analyzing, good for studying, good for focusing on self. But if I'm using meditation to attain higher states of awareness or to try and reach this I am consciousness or this I am awareness, I'm doing instead of being. By doing, I have already separated myself. Because I feel I have to connect, I have already separated myself. If you make connecting to what you call God, or this I am awareness, a step, a process, a routine meditation, you're doing rather than being. And again, I'm not discouraging meditation, psychedelics, or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, these things are necessary, absolutely, but we can only keep doing them for so long, until soon they're supposed to teach us. Psychedelics, supposed to teach you, you are the medicine. You don't need to keep going into psychedelics and returning to the medicine. You are the medicine. And it's the same with meditation. When you shut your eyes and go to sleep, are you not in that meditative state? The only difference is you may not be aware in the same sense, but are you not in that meditative state? And that's the greatest trick, is you are always there. That place that you are trying to reach in your mind by meditation is already there. You are already there. It's easily obtainable. But if you have told yourself, I have to meditate to get myself there, you have separated yourself from what you call there. And instead of being there, you have to do something to get there. And it's the same with psychedelics. Many people feel they must go back into the medicine. They must do ayahuasca or do this again because they're not getting big enough downloads, so they keep going back into the medicine. This is not the purpose. It's not meant to overload you with knowledge. The ultimate message is you are the medicine. What DMT shows you, and this is my experience, my opinion, not saying indefinitely, but for me, what DMT shows you is the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is collected from your conscious mind. So all the thoughts, all the pain, trauma, abuse, misery, whatever, that you have avoided, that you have stored, put off, from the conscious experience is stored into the subconscious mind, in the back of your mind, that you store and you refuse to look at, refuse to heal, refuse to let go. What DMT does is turns that subconscious mind right into your face, except you don't have any control. You have nowhere to run, you have nowhere to hide, you have nowhere to go, because you are having an out-of-body experience, and the only thing that you can do in that moment is be. You have no option to do but be. And that is what psychedelics is trying to teach you, is how to be. But instead of returning to it, you have to take its lessons, take its teachings, and practice it now with your eyes open, in the conscious body, as the ego. And that is the hardest part, is the integration process, integrating that godly concept, or that God mind, with the ego mind. So many people say, well, now that I know what I know, how do I exist in the body? How do I exist in a human body? You know nothing. The moment you think you know something, you think. And if you think, you are uncertain. You think you know, and so you think. It's the mind, not the heart. And that's why I said anything beyond the current moment that is not in front of you now is the imagination. It's an escape from the now, from what is in front of us. So one that is dominantly in the mind is never in the now. They are always beyond the moment. But one who is in the heart is always in the moment. When we have not fully found ourselves, we will go into the mind because we are searching still, and we feel that there is potentially another moment that is better than this one. But this moment here and now is all we have. And once you grasp that, you're always home. You're always grounded in your heart. And just like I said, this does not mean that you are not going to have sensations of ego. You're not going to have emotions of ego. This does not mean that you are not going to have your home rattled, have your home shaken. And when I say your home, I mean your heart. I live day to day, and I'll say this, I've only told one person this, and it's my good friend Addie, but I've told this to her, and I'll say this to everyone. I live my life every single day, one day at a time, in this moment, in this day. I wake up expecting to lose everyone and anyone at any moment, because this is what we do not realize. This moment is the gift. To know anyone, anything in this moment here and now is the gift. I am not entitled to anything. I am not entitled to anyone. I am not here to possess anything or anyone. It is a gift. And so I live every day, in this moment. That's what I mean when I say I don't exist in time. I will utilize the time of day to travel through my day, but I don't care the month, I don't care the year, I don't care. Time does not exist. It is a construct. And for all these people freaking out about 2020, it's a huge year. I understand the reasoning behind it, but the actuality, sorry to burst some people's bubble, but I don't believe it's 2020 at all. I don't believe it's any time at all. It's always the now, and that's all it can be is now. So like I said, I'll utilize the time of day to travel through my day. For instance, okay, if I've got to go to work at so-and-so, well then that time of day, that's what I will utilize to travel through. Other than that, I don't care what year it is, because I'm always home. I'm always in my heart space of now. I don't... So I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap this up here. I just want to get into quantum physics a little bit here. Jessica, am I happy? Absolutely, I've never been happier in my entire life. It's taken a lot of being vulnerable with myself, being honest with myself, and that's the thing. We have to be willing to be vulnerable with ourselves, because if we can't trust anyone else with our problems or our most vulnerable thoughts or miseries or, traumas, we have to trust ourselves, and we have to be vulnerable and open and willing to heal, and a lot of this discomfort will push us into healing, and this is why the discomfort and the bad emotion is still divine. It's very divine, where you're not going to realize that these bad emotions are divine at the time, but just as there's divinity in the light, there's divinity in the dark, because, without the dark, you wouldn't have known the light. It is the discomfort of the dark which drove you to the light, you see? So it's... But absolutely, I'm very happy. I've never been happier. It's taken a lot of healing, a lot of moving through my discomfort. You cannot run, you cannot avoid, because it will just follow you. All you avoid is your own self. If you're just avoiding these unsettled emotions and feelings, then all you're avoiding is yourself. And it's following you in the outside world because you avoid yourself. You're projecting it. And so it follows you. And it's so simple and obvious, yet not when you're in that oblivious mind state. It's so... we're oblivious to it, But that's why we try and become as conscious of our actions, of our thoughts, of what we do. Because, in making the subconscious conscious, you can heal what hasn't been looked at. You can face what you are avoiding. And sometimes we're not avoiding it on purpose, We're doing it subconsciously. We're, without knowing, avoiding ourselves. But I just wanted to talk about quantum physics a little bit, and I will save this concept and this thought for the next video. I didn't mean to save it for the end, but basically what I wanted to share is, this is my opinion too. I'm just going to say that again. I know I don't have to say that, but I'm going to stress it again. This is not fact. It's my opinion. But when you look into quantum physics talks about quantum superposition. And what quantum superposition means is that particles can exist in more than one space and more than one position at a time. And what this means is that, picture me as a particle, for example. I can only be Tyler in this room, in this location, at this time, in one spot. But in quantum superposition, I am not just in one spot. I exist in more than one spot, more than one position, more than one scenario, more than one outcome. And this is what I want to get at with quantum physics. Quantum physics proves free will, and quantum physics also proves the fact that time does not exist. And that's just it. There's a lot of people that have said, well, everything has already happened already. Well, how has everything already happened if time does not exist. Time is not linear. We're not moving forward and we're not moving backward. We have assigned a direction as far as where we're moving, but we're not going anywhere. Right? So, it's not that everything has happened already. The mind itself is a quantum computer. And what I mean by that is, the human being is the most intelligent species on this planet because we have the ability to self-analyze, to study data, to study a cycle, to study something that is repetitive in nature, and we can directly change the outcome. We can impact the outcome. We can affect the outcome. We can measure the outcome. We have the ability to change things before they've happened and even self-reflect and control how things happen. And what this proves is free will, and this is what I want to explain. What quantum physics proves, if the mind is a supercomputer, picture this as me right now. Picture this as an X-ray of my body or my head right now. My pineal gland is right here in the middle of my brain, which is what you see right here as the all-seeing eye. Why do you think it's called the all-seeing eye, too? And this is my dual brain, right? And then my two eyes. What this does, remember, everything is duality. So what this does is it creates two sides, and this is why we have past and future. But time does not exist. So it's not that everything has already happened, because that would imply it's already been done. Time does exist. If the mind is a quantum supercomputer or a quantum computer, what this means is that we have the ability to, let's just say for instance, I leave for work every morning. One morning, I want to choose, I want to choose to go right instead of left. I want to stop for a coffee instead of just going straight to work. I want a car wash before I go straight to work. Every little choice that I make collapses the superposition, the thought of me being in multiple positions, because when I think to myself before I leave for work, do I want to stop and get a coffee? Do I want to stop and get a car wash? Do I need gas? That is a quantum supercomputer, basically, because that's what a quantum computer does. It runs through scenarios, but through a computer form, obviously, through binary code, zeros and ones, and it gives you the result that wouldn't be known unless it was experienced through the pineal gland, through the third eye, which is where we call reality. This is the event horizon. The event horizon is the singularity where everything in superposition is being collapsed into one scenario, one outcome. And this is why with quantum physics, when someone looks at something, it's collapsed. Because you are the superposition. You are collapsing that superposition into one outcome. You are the one. You are the pineal gland. You are the event horizon. Your pineal gland is that event horizon. And I don't know how much this is resonating with some people, but for those of you familiar with quantum physics, you should understand this. That's your event horizon. And so when I analyze, okay, I can get a car wash, this proves free will. This ultimately proves free will, and this is something people have debated for a long time, whether free will exists or not. Well, quantum physics proves that. I have an infinite amount of options right now in this very moment. I could end this video at any minute now through my choice. That's free will. I can choose to go to the gas station, to the bank, to here, to there, to the beach. I can choose. My choice alone will choose my entire outcome because I am collapsing my reality into the superposition. My choice alone is what determines my external outcome. Haven't you ever had something happen where you say, damn, if I'd have just left a minute later, if I'd have just gone left instead of right, if I'd have just done this instead of that. Every single choice you make, big or small, is directly creating your entire universe and experience. And that's what quantum physics proves. And I forget exactly who said this exactly. I think it was Niels Bohr. But he said, if you got to a point with quantum physics to where it didn't scare the crap out of you, you didn't understand it right. And this is why, because what quantum physics proves is we're all in a world of our own. We're all literally our own universe. And this is why truth is experienced. It does not exist. It is experienced. Because every single person is that same all-seeing eye. We are all the same eye seeing something different based on who we think we are and who we think we are not. But the all-seeing eye is the one eye in all of us, is what is eternal. Beyond identity, beyond ego, we are the watcher. We are awareness. Awareness is what births consciousness. So if I want to become self-aware beyond myself, I need to figure out who is it that is birthing and who is it that has died. And the obvious answer is identity. If I identify with my identity, I exist in death. I am bound to death. If I identify with my awareness, I am aware that Tyler is aware or is conscious, then I have now become self-aware beyond myself. Because even what I call myself is an illusion of the I am, is a concept of the I am. But everything is a balance. And that's the hardest part, is integrating that awareness of I am into your consciousness. But realize this, and this is the simplest part. Every time you speak, it is the ego, it is the consciousness that speaks. What is listening is your awareness, is the I am, is the God mind. This is why when you judge someone or you look at someone, and it may be a negative association or something, you may say, well, I don't like the way that guy looks or something. Even if it's a silent thought, if it's still a spoken thought in your mind, it's speaking. If it's speaking, it is consciousness. It is the identity that is speaking. It is the identity that is judging, not awareness. Awareness is all loving. It does not judge. So realize when you speak to yourself, aloud or internally, this is consciousness. This is identity speaking, not I am. I am that I am represents awareness. I am aware. But once you bring the conscious mind into it, I am that I am turns into I am Tyler. And that's where unlimited awareness, unlimited potential, becomes limited through the conscious thought of who we think we are. And when we think, we become this. But when we be, you become limitless, open to everything. You become the most powerful force in this universe because you are now in alignment with it. And I'm going to end the video with that. If you like this video, feel free to check out the meme that I posted just a few hours ago. It talks exactly about what I'm talking about here, about the voice in our mind is the consciousness, which is identity, and the silent one that listens to that voice is the I am. Realize they're both within you, both of them. And that's why there's two. You are a dual brain, therefore you are a dual being. Above and below, higher self, lower self. When you bring these two together, as some call it a Kundalini experience, or Kundalini joining, when the two snakes become one, you're joining the two hemispheres together, the above and the below, man and God, into a single unity, to where one is no longer separate from the other. So what this means is, when man becomes God and God becomes man, what is left? Who is trying to connect to God? You were never man. Man becomes God and God becomes man. What is there to connect to? All that can be known then is I am that I am. I am aware that I am. Awareness does not need to know who is aware. It doesn't need to know form. It doesn't need to know the year. It doesn't need to know time. It just knows I am. And I am always I am. Eternally. And it is through the I am that we have the gift to become I am Tyler. See, ego is only viewed bad and negatively when we find out it dies. Then we wish to get rid of it. It's a problem. I have to rid it. Ugh. We want nothing to do with it. But when you fully realize you're a dual being, the non-physical is just as much a part of your physical and vice versa. The physical is just as much a part of your non-physical. You're both of these beings. But you exist in and appear as only one. Because there is only one. There is not two. And that's the greatest trick. Is the duality, is the singularity. Male, female, above, below, you, me, sun, moon, him, her. The duality, the polarities are the singularity. It is the singularity, the awareness, that births consciousness and subconsciousness. And through that alone, conscious and subconscious action, you have you and me. The action done by me is the conscious mind. The action done by you is the subconscious mind. And with those two principles alone, I have concepts of self and other. Because what's done by me is obviously my consciousness. What's done by you is obviously my subconsciousness. It is not me, it's you. And that's what begins the dual game. But if you've enjoyed this video, please help me share it out. I'm blocked from sharing into all the groups that I'm a part of except for 3 because I manage 3 of them. So I'm blocked until April 20th of 2020. Funny date. April 20th, 2020. Which sucks. But yes, if this video resonates, please help me share it out. I appreciate all that. If you have any ideas, topics, thoughts, anything, you can email me, message me anytime. My inbox is always open. My YouTube is Red Pill Rabbit Hole, and I will have this video up maybe in about 3-4 hours. I don't know. Thank you to everyone who's watched. Thank you to everyone who's listened, who's shared. Thank you especially to everyone who's been on here from start to finish. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry for the interruptions. I had like 2 interruptions. I had phone calls. I'm sorry. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully it resonates. Thank you.